On October 27, 1971, the report by Xinhua news agency appeared on the front page of the People's Daily, introducing to the whole nation a major diplomatic victory in restoring the lawful rights of the People's Republic of China in the United Nations. Today, let's follow Xinhua correspondents to take a look back at that exhilarating moment in history 50 years ago.
We've probably all heard the saying that, it is our African brothers who have carried us into the UN. Why? Of the 76 yes votes, 26 came from African countries, including Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana and others. What I'm holding in my hand is the Daily Nation, Kenya's highest circulation English language daily, which ran the headline, World Hails Peking in UN, on its front page. It read, "The whole world, with a few reservations, yesterday hailed the admission of the People's Republic of China to the United Nations after the worst defeat ever suffered by the United States in the history of the world body." When the vote was announced, African delegates to the United Nations even stood up and gave a standing ovation.
Republic of the Congo, who also sponsored the resolution, has helped China reclaim its lawful seat at the UN. This historic moment made headline on the Semaine Africaine, one of the oldest surviving newspapers in Central Africa. In an editorial dated on November 7, 1971, the newspaper lauded the diplomatic win of China. China's restoration of its lawful seat at the UN has become something inevitable and logical. Read the article.
In 1971, France voted for the resolution to restore all the lawful rights of the People's Republic of China in the United Nations. After the resolution was passed, this historical moment was recorded on the front page of Le Figaro, the most circulated newspaper in France. Here I have a copy of Le Figaro dated October 27, 1971. The newspaper reported that the wheel of history has turned. The United States lost a post-war fight. Yesterday evening, the General Assembly of the United Nations restored, finally, the lawful rights of People's Republic of China.
15 years ago, Britain was one of the Western countries that supported China's admission to the United Nations. Almost all the mainstream newspapers in the UK, including the Times, the Financial Times, reported in a relatively positive tone of the historical moment of China's victory on October 26, 1971.
Today, we found some of the newspaper copies from the newsroom of the British Library.
The Times reported the moment from New York on October 26. It reads, "The vote split the United States from some of its main allies, including Britain and France." The Financial Times hailed the event in its article published on October 27th, saying China's admission to the UN, coupled with the expulsion of the nationalist delegation, which has occupied the Chinese seats for the past 20 years, is good news both for the organization itself and for the world in general.
On October 26, 1971, Cuba's newspaper with the largest circulation, Grama, which was established in 1965, reported on its front page that Cuba voted in favor for Resolution 2758 at the 26th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The article adopted the headline, "Restore the legal rights of the People's Republic of China in the United Nations and thwart Taiwan's puppet regime."
我现在所在的位置是墨西哥首都墨西哥城市中心改革大道附近。在我身后
50 years ago, this newspaper carried a front-page headline detailing the world's support for the restoration of China's lawful seat at the United Nations, a great diplomatic victory for China.
Here in this issue of Tuesday, October 26, 1971, 8 columns, we have this article about the restoration of China's lawful seat in the United Nations and the reactions even from our country, that Mexico ratifies this agreement. Here on the cover we can see the news.
Despite not having established formal diplomatic ties in 1971, Malaysia voted in favor for the restoration of the lawful rights for the People's Republic of China at the United Nations. What I'm holding right now is the archive of Malaysia's Chinese newspaper Nanyang Shangbao, or Nanyang Business Daily, published on October 27, 1971, reporting on the historic event.
Nanyang Business Daily is one of the longest-serving Chinese news publications in Malaysia. In this particular report, it states in the headline that then Prime Minister Abdul Razak welcomed China's restoration and was hoping for China to play a constructive role in international relations. Quoting Razak, Malaysia supports the UN's decision, and he personally looked forward to China performing an important role in the creation of a peaceful and prosperous international order. The newspaper also dedicated a major column in reporting that both Malaysia's ruling and opposition parties welcomed China's back to the UN.
What I hold is a photocopy of the front page of Pakistan's Dawn newspaper, dated October the 27th, 1971, which is kept in the archives of the Pakistani government. As Pakistan's largest and oldest English newspaper, Dawn ran the headline, "Taiwan authorities expelled, China returns to UN" on its front page, with a photo of Chairman Mao Zedong waving his hand. The sub-headline reads, "Delegates jump with joy at the feet of US move." And rejoicing in Pakistan read another front-page article from major Pakistani cities. It said people received the news as if it was a personal victory for Pakistan itself.